UWS-Radio and the International Community Radio Network is a joint partnership in Internet Community Radio, working to give each country a voice on a united global platform.
You want some changes? Well, we have plans. So gather your neighbors and tell your friends. Together we can do it all. Stay divided and fall. We have no partisan point of view. We don't tell lies and we call it truth. The people have a lot to say. Let real folks lead the way. We are change and we are love. Together we're stronger than ever before. We are the change we're seeking. We're not here to pass the time of day. We are change. The military machine must end. Stop these wars! Let's show the world we can be their friend. No silent drones and scuds. No more oil spilling blood. The time has come, we must end the Fed. End the Fed! We're in the red and we're almost dead. The system has to change, and it's time to rearrange. We are change and we are love. Together we're stronger than ever before. We are the change we see. We're not here to pass the time of day. We are change, we are change, we are change, we are change. InfoWars is the battle now. InfoWars! We all must promise to make a vow. 9/11 truth today. Now! That's what we the people say. We're patriots of a different type. We have the oath keepers at our side. Real change is catching on. So it's time to come along. I tell you we are change, everybody. And we are love. All together we're stronger than we ever thought possible. Yeah. We are the change we want to see in this world right now. We are here to be blunt with you today. We are change and we are love. Together we're stronger than ever before. We are the change we're seeking. And you can join us because we are change. 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 We are love. We are change. We are change. This love. We are change. 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 We are love. We are change. We are true. We are change. This love. We are change. 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 We are true. We are change. This love. We are change. We are change. We are change.
Join Musicians for Freedom on ICRN-Radio every Sunday at 3 p.m. MDT and 10 p.m. UK time for guests and political music live from the Colorado studio.
United we strike. U-N-I-T-E-D-W-E. Strike. U-N-I-T-E-D-W-E. Strike. I'm alright with United we strike. Stand in line with United we strike. Join the fight with United we strike. We need the millions of working class heroes. Provide enough of being less than zero. All together right with United we strike. Don't buy, don't comply. Not what they want. Ask why. Ask some questions. Do what's right. Don't buy, don't comply. Ask why. Join the fight. I'm alright with United we strike. Stand in line with United we strike. Join the fight. United we strike. Strike! It is time to get united. It is time to stop this senseless fight about nothing. It is time for direct sacrifice and participation. It is time to rise to the occasion. The time is now. Power to the people. United we strike. United we strike. United we strike. United we U-N-I-T-E-D-W-E. 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 Strike!
This is Musicians for Freedom on UWS Community Radio and the International Community Radio Network.
To the New World Order.
Yes, hi, this is Detlev of Wake News Radio and Musicians for Freedom and United We Strike Radio, and I have great hosts and guests here. I'm producing out of Switzerland, but we are worldwide, an initiative which takes place in the world. So, Karen, I heard you in the background. Are you there already?
I am here, Detlev, and thank you very much for producing, because the show would not go on without you. This is Karen from taxfree15.com and unitedwestrike.com, and this is our Sunday Musicians for Freedom program. Now, we are having a bit of a problem getting a hold of Sharlene, but we will be able to connect with her shortly. And actually, Detlev, maybe what we should do is play a song for our audience while we see if we can get Sharlene in, and because we've got a couple of guests coming up today. We've got Watermelon Slim, we have Paul Topete from Poker Face, and we have Novak. So we'll start off with some music here, and then we'll see what we can do to bring Sharlene and our first guest to you right afterwards. How does that sound?
Well, it sounds pretty good, and I'm very confident we will get Sharlene on the call. So, and you also found a new clip of some news, which we should play later on then, but you will announce this definitely, won't you?
Sure, you got that YouTube then.
Yes, I've got the sound. Okay, so why don't we go to play Illuminati by Poker Face right away, and then we check out whether all the guests are available. So stay tuned. Perfect. We'll be right back.
This is Musicians for Freedom on UWS Community Radio and the International Community Radio Network.
Well, welcome back, folks. This is November 27th, and it is the Musicians for Freedom part of our United We Strike radio marathon. I'm here in Oregon looking out over an eagle, actually, who's fishing out here over a pond, which is just an absolutely beautiful sight. And one of the reasons that I'm active, because the eagles have no voice, the mountains have no voice, water has no voice until we give it a voice when we recognize that we need to protect this in order for our own survival. So we're here on Sundays, and throughout the month we have a marathon, the second Saturday of every month. We urge people to commit to peaceful noncompliance, to education, and to resisting and refusing to be an accomplice to all the problems that are going on in the world that are using us, our money, and our energy in order to further them. Now, we've got my good buddy, our good buddy, Sharlene Holt from Musicians for Freedom. Sharlene, welcome to the program.
Hi, Karen. Welcome to the program to you, too. Hi, Detlev.
Hi, Sharlene. How are you?
I'm pretty good. I'm in Nashville, and I'm getting ready to pour a little bit of milk in my coffee this morning here. It's a rainy day. Smokey noticed that there were chemtrails being sprayed yesterday. He seems to feel there's a real connection between the chemtrails being sprayed and then the next day it rains. And sure enough, it's raining again.
Oh, absolutely. I can confirm this, by the way. We had heavy chemtrailing here during the day and the night. Still going on, and we are expecting rain to come here during the coming night as well here in Switzerland.
Well,
France, Germany, and so forth.
It's pretty depressing. I mean, I really don't know what to make of it. I mean, between that and the, I think I was looking up Clifford Carnicom, and Smokey was looking it up this morning about the extremely low frequency, the ELF frequencies that perhaps they are broadcasting via HARP. I don't know, that they're affecting all of our neural nets, our brains.
Oh, absolutely. And if I may, Karen, just to release the news from here, in Germany there's a huge Air Force base of the U.S., and that's in Ramstein. I don't know whether you're familiar with that name, but there's all the traffic going from the U.S. Over to Germany, and then from there to the Middle East. And there was a lot of traffic, announced by people who live close to the base. And, maybe they are preparing for whatever comes, which we all don't want, but which may happen.
Yeah, it probably will. And if, actually, we do need to get to our guest here, but we will definitely touch on that. But Sharlene, you've brought us another great guest today. How would you like to introduce us to our guest?
Yes, indeed. We have a gentleman who called me on the phone, I don't know, maybe about 2 weeks ago. He gave me a call maybe a week and a half ago, and I don't know where he heard about me. I haven't asked him yet how he heard about me, but he thought I was pretty. So I was happy to hear that. And he's an international recording artist by the name of Watermelon Slim. Are you there, Watermelon?
Yes, I am.
Welcome to the Musicians for Freedom Show.
I didn't have to hear about you to know you was pretty because you're on your website.
Well, thank you so much for that. Well, we have a few of your songs queued up here. Detlev, what kind of a song do you have queued up?
Well, I've got a few. I think you sent them to us. Slim, may I say Slim?
Yes, that's
Is that fine?
Call me Bill. Either one. People call me both.
Okay.
Slim.
So I mean, you can pick a song, whatever you like, because we've got 5 tunes of you, and so whatever comes up, I try to find it. Like for instance, we've got Swimming in Blue Ping, and Blue Freightliner.
The Swimming in Blue Ping is actually a song called "I'm a Little Fish," and my wife and I wrote that. It was a children's song when we started, but we had so much fun with it, we decided to put it on the last record anyway.
Oh, that's fun. Why don't we have this as an entry, sort of, so people know what your sounds sound like? And why don't we play it right away, and then you can talk about it? Are you all right with that?
Oh,
Okay.
all right. Generally, if I was going to start out a show with Watermelon Slim, it'd probably be something like that Blue Freightliner, because I'm probably more known as a truck driver than anything else, and a lot of my music,
Okay, yeah, what?
Yep. To be of work and relationships and mortality, but we'll get into that after a while. You play what you want to. I'm fine. I'm fine with I'm a Little Fish or almost anything that you've got. I've made 13 CDs, DVDs, and LPs, and I've never put a drop of filler on any one of them. I guarantee you.
Yeah, okay,
Wow.
wonderful. We start with the fish, and then we go over to the Freightliner, right?
There you go.
Okay.
Up the fish or the truck. There you go.
Yeah, okay, so stay tuned. We'll play the first song of Bill or Slim, whatever you want to call him. So stay tuned.
Yeah.
When I'm swimming and blooping and swimming, I'm a little fish. When I'm swimming and blooping and swimming, I'm a little fish. And if you catch me, I'll end up on your dish. When I'm swimming and blooping and swimming all around your pond. When I'm swimming and blooping and swimming all around your pond. And if you let me, I'll get your bait and gone. When I'm swimming and blooping and swimming all up and down your stream. When I'm swimming and blooping and swimming all up and down your stream. And if you catch me, won't say nothing, 'cause you know fish can't scream. When I'm kin and fighting kin other little fish. When I'm kin and fighting kin other little fish. I don't pay no union dues now, buddy. I do just what I wish. Well, I'm swimming and blooping and swimming. I'm a little fish. I'm swimming and blooping and swimming. I'm a little fish. And if you catch me, I'll end up on your dish. Hey boy, I'm gonna swim right on around. You can't catch me, yeah.
Back with Musicians for Freedom, and that was a fun song. Slim, you say you've made 13 CDs?
CDs, LPs, DVDs. I made my first LP in 1973. I actually started it in 72. And didn't make another record for another 27 years, and then I've made the other 12 all this century. It's actually 14, but there's one I haven't got released right now. I don't know whether I'm going to release it or not.
Where do people go to find your music?
Well, you can, as it is these days, you can go and find stuff and download it and buy it by the song, but I don't go much for that because you can't read anything about it when you're doing it that way. I would go to www.watermelonslim.com. Don't forget to put the dots in. Computers are finicky, and you can sure enough find all of it there. Everything I've got is there. I say, well, not everything. There's one or two of them that never got transferred to that site. You can go to the various record stores. Best Buy sells them. Walmart sells them if you can find them. Barnes and Noble and Borders used to sell them. I don't know if they sell them or not. I don't concern myself too much with that because distribution is out of my hands. But my records are available wherever fine music is sold, and even where questionable music is sold.
That's a good one. Yeah.
Tell us about your activism, Slim. What have you been active with lately in D.C.?
Well, I'm a life member of the Vietnam Veterans Against the War, and right now, I will tell you that the Vietnam Veterans Against the War are going through an intense internal struggle for basically the soul and the control of the organization. The conservatives that want to help Obama and are not even against the Afghanistan war are now in charge of the national office, and I'm part of the insurgency in my own organization to cover VVAW as a leader in the anti-war movement. That's one of the main things I'm doing right now. I've been involved with that group planning the actions. October 6th, I was seriously involved with planning those actions in Washington, D.C. I haven't been tripping around the country that much, taking part in occupations around the country, but I will tell you that the people I work with are involved in occupations in St. Louis and Jacksonville, Florida, and New York and Washington and the places you've heard about the most. We involve ourselves in security for the movement. It's an old story with VVAW dating back to the times of the installation and there are people who co-op movement for the ozone provocateurs and
Bill, sorry to interrupt, but we have got some noises in the background, so we try to fix this. And why don't we play Skinny Women and Fat Cigars by you? And I think that's a good title. So stay tuned.
I'll tell you about that in my short, as they say.
Afterwards. Yeah, afterwards. Okay, so we play that tune, and stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Well, I like collard greens and hot cornbread, late nights in my honky-tonk bars, double shots of wild turkey, skinny women and fat cigars, hot rod 57 Chevys, top fuel and funny cars, sweet nothings in the morning after
take much to satisfy. I don't let my playtime go to waste, not much that I won't try. I like just enough to hold on to, but not enough to get in the way. Close dancing in the moonlight, love making till the break of day. And I like a freight liner with 9 over, sweet tea and a country ham. Blue skies and tall mountains, catfishing down below the dam. A pinch hit of sensimilla, burn it up till I see stars. A rabbit's foot and a 4-leaf clover, skinny women and bad cigars.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome to the Musicians for Freedom show today on Sunday, and it's November 27th. We've got as our guest today Watermelon Slim. So we just heard Skinny Women and Fat Cigars. Hey, Slim, how did you hear about me and Musicians for Freedom? I'm curious.
Well, I didn't hear about you until I got to the site, there was some sort of an advertisement. I think I was I'm involved with a lot of what you'd call liberal or progressive or radical people.
Right.
Involved with all those kind of people, and it may very well have been on my email just because somebody from Veterans for Peace put it up there.
Gotcha.
It might have been Mike Firmer. It might have been almost anybody. I don't know if you know any of those people, but
Yeah. Do you know Phil Restino?
Who?
He's also Phil Restino is from Vets for Peace.
Oh yeah,
He's
Phil
from
Restino. Sure. Yeah. It might just as easily have been Phil Restino for sure.
Yeah, Phil has been on our program, and he's thinking about possibly hosting his own program. Larry Pinkney was on with him. Have you heard of United We Strike before?
No, I mean, the name. Now that you mention it, the name I read someplace last night when I was doing my. Every day I have to keep up with stuff. I get an incredible amount of emails.
It's a never-ending job.
I was looking over my stuff, and I saw that name listed last night, in fact. But do I know anything about it?
No, you're about to find out.
I know. I learn a lot of stuff about a lot of stuff, and I don't really know anything about United We Strike yet. The word strike means something to me. I've taken part in a strike or two. Well, trying to get them off the road. Truckers' strikes, basically. They never have gotten off the road in this or off the ground in this country because it's the owner operators that are going to have to strike for a truckers' strike to be successful. The Teamsters will be scabs. The Teamsters Union has forfeited any right it has to be part of the negotiations at the table of power and labor. They really screwed us all. I could go into that in detail, but I'm not going to because I know you got other stuff you want to talk about.
Well, I'd like to let. Well, I'm glad that you are familiar with strikes, and when we look at strikes, And people sometimes are thinking, oh no, we can't do that, they're violent. But strikes become violent when the government becomes involved, which is exactly what we're seeing in the Occupy movement. And at United We Strike, we've been pounding the pavement I have since December of 2008 with, first it was Tax Holiday 2009, which turned into taxfree15.com. And I've been promoting a strike completely, withdrawal of support from governments gone wild. And actually there's another group now, Citizens for Legitimate Government, who are asking for a nationwide strike tomorrow. I have been working on promoting a global strike, which is how I met Detlev, who is in Switzerland, and actually then we met Sharlene. But this has been about a 4-year journey for me and about a 2-year journey for United We Strike, where we are encouraging peaceful noncompliance through our numbers and going local. We don't tell people to vote. We just are against extremism, and we know that we outnumber them. And this Occupy spirit of freedom is very real, and I think that we have an obligation to help center it and to keep it real. And a massive strike for a consecutive number of days, while we focus on our local governments and our local officials, could have such a major impact, we believe. What do you think of that idea?
Well, again, I'm back to the idea of the owner operators. It's
Sure.
going to take more than wage employees going out to enforce the effectiveness of any strike at all. Unfortunately, it's going to also take entrepreneurs going out. It's going to take people who are actually making the money. Even there's a line between entrepreneurs and capitalists. I'm an entrepreneur. I have to be, but I'm not a capitalist. But it's going to take people that might consider themselves to some degree freaking entrepreneurs and capitalists going out to make a strike really stick. Because as we know from the Teamsters, they'll find truck drivers, they'll find management, dispatchers, whatever, and they'll go out and do the job, regardless that the employees struck. Remember, the Teamsters, which is the largest union in the whole country, took the union out of the AFL-CIO without a vote from the rank and file. Not everybody knows that, but Jimmy Hoffa Jr. is one of the greatest traitors to labor in the entire history of labor. I always keep saying, well, where's Tony Provenzano when we need him? I'm not real optimistic about. I'm not real optimistic about the ability of labor per se to affect any kind of revolutionary change. I'm afraid labor's been really badly co-opted and behaviorally modified.
We all have, but we're hoping that as individuals become accountable.
I'm not trying to be a pessimist or anything like that, but
I understand.
But I know in the case of the Teamsters, it was the Teamsters that created the two or several tier labor system we have in this country, where some people have plenty of benefits and whatnot, and the other people don't have any at all. I'm afraid labor has, to some extent, at least since especially since the Clinton administration, kind of screwed itself. Pardon my friend.
Yeah, but if we wake up, don't you think? I mean, we do outnumber them, and with all the corruption that is everywhere and legal conquest, our friend Charles Irwin from AmericanFreedomBooks.com has done some research proving that the year after we got our Constitution, King George sent over 100 legal experts to help with our legal system. We were heavily in debt to him, and they took our natural law and turned it into this legal system with millions of laws. We are all tied to paperwork from the day we're born until the day we die, funneled into a system that most of us don't even realize exists.
The Matrix.
Yeah. Most of us don't until we somehow we run afoul of it.
Yeah, or we wake up. Now, this Citizens for Legitimate Government has been calling for this Monday to be a national strike. We support that. Our day has been the 15th of the month, but we realize that the momentum of this Occupy movement supersedes that. You know, the real true spirit of freedom, of people waking up and seeing that the lie of inequality is just that, a lie. There is no reason for poverty other than the blatant and criminal, corrupt mismanagement at the very top levels of power. And if we can eliminate this criminal banking system, if we refuse to work even for one day tomorrow.
The banking system. Now you
get
down.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, the idea that we have to have banks to lend money to the government so they can lend money to us is
part of the problem.
It's ridiculous. That's a bunch of parasites. But,
Parasitic government.
I know you don't want to talk about economics, and I hate talking about economics.
I want to hear a song. I want to hear the Freightliner.
I learned to teach economics when I was in my master's degree. Economics was one of the subjects I'm entitled to teach at the high school level.
Wow.
And I'm bored as hell with economics because it's all a big shell game. The idea is we're not going to make it through the rest of the century without population control and a form. You name the details of freaking socialism.
Slim.
There's no way that unfettered winner-take-all capitalism can make it through this century. We're just going to freaking hang.
Now, I agree with you on that, but I would encourage you to really look into population control because I believe that myth at first, too. And actually, the population in the United States has been steadily decreasing since the 50s. It is on purpose. They are experimenting us through the vaccines. And the reason why we believe we're overpopulated has a great deal to do with immigration. And,
I didn't say America.
Education.
I'm not talking about America. America
but it's globally.
is overpopulated. Globally, we're way overpopulated, and there's no plan in place to do anything but just keep on doubling.
Slim, if you actually look, you'll find out that every person in the world can fit into the state of Texas with part of that state left over, and they would all have a house and have about an acre of land, or you could even put them in Queensland and have part of that left over. I believed it too. I want just to encourage you to open your mind and look, and if you've ever flown a plane, and I'm sure you have, with all the traveling you've done with your music, think about all that empty land out there. That's what they want.
Too much. You know, flying is one of the reasons I've had to cut down on my career because I can see that if I'm going to be a cultural ambassador, I cannot have as ungreen a footprint as that. Well, I'll give you an example. Me and the workers went last to Australia, and we had 2 nights to play because my band had 2 people in one city, 1 person in another city, and me here in Mississippi. It took us participation in 18 planes to get there and back. So I'm very much aware of my responsibilities to be green at the same time as being a cultural ambassador.
Yeah, but look at Gore. Look at Al Gore. Look at all the money he has. And seriously, just if you'd allow yourself to step back and think about overpopulation and do a search online, I think you may be really very surprised because actually we are not even able to...
I cannot be convinced. I cannot be convinced that this world can continue not to deal with overpopulation and not run out of space. I did the experiment in the 10th grade in biology. Let me explain the experiment. It's called the Van Van Vleck's law, Van Vleck syndrome or Van Vleck's law. I'm not sure. But what you do, you take a slide mount with a drop of rainwater, and you watch the paramecia. Now everybody knows what a paramecium is. That's that little thing that looks like a shoe. It's a microorganism, a one-celled organism, looks like a shoe. And they multiply and they multiply and they multiply in your closed environment, in your biosphere, your water under the slide mount. And eventually, a sporolytic form of animal comes out because the balance is too destroyed. They're called oocytes, O-E-Z-I-T-E-S, and they go and they eat up almost all of those paramecia. And they balance the environment, and the process repeats. And those two things are in balance. Human beings are not in balance with this world. And there's no way we can go on making more and more and more and more of this without there being disastrous results.
That's true.
Leonard Crow Dog.
I agree.
Most people don't know who Leonard Crow Dog is. He's the chief medicine man for the Sioux Nation. Back in 1979, when I was on the longest walk, he prophesied to us. And he said we human beings have a few more years to stop hurting Mother Earth, or else she's going to take herself back from us.
Well, my personal feeling is
1979. So I have my own signs. I'm 62 and a half years old, and I'm not likely to be convinced by arguments these days. I think I'm doing right.
True. This is no argument, Slim. This is just encouraging you to look and to see that actually when you were growing up, I bet you never, ever heard of people going to fertility clinics. I'm 59. My husband is 61. Now, American people are not even able to reproduce themselves. They don't reproduce enough. So, we can move on. We can move on. I'm not here to argue with you at all.
We can move on from this, because I think you and I have a fundamental disagreement about this.
Well, I just have to say what I think. If you'll hear me out, I personally think it's because of the people.
I believe that the world is being overpopulated. I read the Club of Rome report in 1970. I struggle against overpopulation in the writings that I do, and it's not a myth. And if you go to India and Indonesia and Bangladesh and all the places that have no agricultural resources such as they can,
it's mismanagement.
Everybody.
It's management at the highest levels. Yeah.
Well,
but Sharlene wanted to add a point there.
Yeah, I agree that it's fiat currency.
Let's play a Freightliner song. I'll tell you one thing about truck driving. We can do without a lot of managers. We can do without a lot of bankers and computer operators and this and that and all this superfluous economy. But
exactly.
you try and let them truck drivers go out on strike for a day, see if this country doesn't come to a crashing halt.
We'd love to get them involved, especially tomorrow. They could call in sick and stay home for a day. I mean, we have so much. And also, I would like
there's the real stakes for striking. If you want my opinion, is the transportation and logistics of the United States. People, what the banks do hurts, but it doesn't hurt right there in the supermarket. As long as people's shelves are filled, they're going to go right on and not care enough about the damned economics. But
not if you can't afford it.
You let people start being told, sorry, we don't have any of that, and we're not getting in any because of, we've got problems with transportation, then they're going to start to holler.
Well, let's hear the
That's my opinion.
Hey, Detlev.
So stay tuned. We'll be right back with this great tune of Watermelon Slim.
This is Musicians for Freedom on UWS Community Radio and the International Community Radio Network.
Watermelon Slim, and you can find his music at watermelonslim.com, and you can tell he's got a wealth of living there by listening to his music and a lot of heart and soul. Thank you very much for joining us today, Watermelon Slim.
God bless you, all my fans out there. And, you know, it's just like the old blues man said, if it weren't for you, wouldn't be no us. Y'all be sure and resist. Do not let a day go by that you don't do something, either saying or doing, that's going to make America and this world a better and safer place for people of goodwill to live. All right, 10-4, we gone.
Hey,
Thank
where
you.
are you going to be playing, Slim? Where can we catch you in Germany in March?
I expect to be playing March the 5th in Dusseldorf with my friend Super Chicken, James Johnson, who is the immortal Robert Johnson's great nephew. Super Chicken is Robert Johnson's sister's grandson. And we'll
cool.
be playing over there in Dusseldorf, Germany, March the 4th or 5th or 6th. You'll have to look at the site to be absolutely sure.
Great. Okay, so that's watermelonslim.com. And thank you so much for talking with us, Watermelon. And we really appreciate all your music and your activism especially. Thank you.
Well, like I say, God bless you. We've got to all work very hard so that this country will be the kind of place we thought we was wanting to live in. Sharlene, I'm sure I'll be talking to you later. And with that, I'll say what I say to everybody when I end the phone call. Kirk out.
See you.
Peace, baby, peace.
Yeah, peace. Bye-bye.
And
Thank you,
now,
Yeah, see you.
bye, Slim. We've got our buddy Paul Topete from PokerFace.com. Paul, welcome to the program.
Thanks
I'm
for having me
hanging
up
up
today,
now,
guys.
by the way.
Okay, bye,
Okay.
Slim.
Bye-bye.
Paul,
Hello.
Hi,
what is
Paul.
new with PokerFace?
What's new with Poker Face? We've been woodshedding, trying to put out this new disc called Tyranny Befalls America. We've been making the bankers the object of our affection because from them all the evil on this earth comes from. If you want to stop a war tomorrow, arrest a banker today.
That's
I
pretty
agree.
good. That's pretty
It's the
good.
truth,
Now,
though.
Paul,
Go ahead.
yeah. Well, I wanted to kind of continue the conversation. We were talking with Watermelon Slim about overpopulation, and he feels the earth is overpopulated. What are your thoughts on that?
That's more New World Order bullshit.
Okay, that I think I agree with you, Sharlene. Did you ever really get to express what you felt about overpopulation?
No, I've been trying to get a word in edgewise here. I really do. I agree with Paul, and frankly, my personal feeling about it is that the fiat currency is to blame because it seems to me if you take a piece of paper, a little tiny piece of paper, and you write this extravagant figure on that little tiny piece of paper, like $1 trillion or something, and then that goes out into our real world and buys up, real resources. I mean, copper mines and entire cities and water, dams. I mean, the problem, in my opinion, is this fiat currency system that makes people think or that we have these resources, and we don't. We're not in a real commodity-based monetary system. So my personal feeling is any type of overpopulation or any type of, situation where there's too many people, even if there were too many people, is simply a matter of putting these little pieces of paper out there with exorbitant numbers on them. And so the way to bring a balance to our planet is to end fiat currency systems and central banking and to get back to a commodity-based, denationalization of money kind of system. That's my feeling about it. I
agree. Paul, you have anything to add to that? Because Slim a very good guy, educated man, but really firmly believes in overpopulation, and that he had to use 18 planes to make it to a gig, and that he's not doing his part. But look at Al Gore.
Yeah, I'd like to build on what Sharlene said. It's like the thing that I'm writing up called the Protocols of Solutions, which is the vaccination to the Protocols of the Learned Elders of Zion. Basically, the number one protocol is dealing with the bankers, and we're going to arrest, try, seize, and forfeiture all their ill-gotten gains. It's probably like $1,000 trillion that should go back to the coffers of the we the people. But that's not going to solve the problems that we have at hand, because nothing is going to change as long as we allow the criminals that are running this world, like in the insane asylum, to continue. So here's some solutions to this so-called overpopulation. We have the means to clean up all the trash that we have in this world. It's called thermal depolymerization, where it breaks down anything that has carbon base in it, so any kind of the trash or even sewage, back down to its basic components, and they can turn it into gasoline, gas, diesel, or a charcoal byproduct. Okay, so you don't have that kind of pollution polluting the waters, polluting the earth. Next, you have engines that can run on water, thanks to people, a Jew for Jesus by the name of Stanley Myers, who got suicided by a heart attack. But he's left us with the technology so that we can run our cars on water. And if you can run a car on water, you can run a generator in your house with water. And you can have all the electrical and all the power that you need to run your tools, your toys, your cooling, your heating, and even for growing your own food. Third thing, if you have all the energy that you need because you're now running your generators on water, you can pressurize your warehouses to twice the atmospheric pressure, double the CO2 content into it, and you can grow food very quickly and very large. So there's more than enough food and more than enough clean water and more than enough energy. But for that to happen, we have to arrest the criminals that are running this as their own personal fiefdom. And what happens when you depopulate the earth, you have less people to do less things, so that we will not have the level of ability that we do today, because there's so many people able to do so many different things, so that we can operate at a higher level. Okay? So this whole myth is propagated by the elites. The whole thing, like the whole gay agenda, why they push the gay agenda is because for the most part, gays don't breed because they can't do it naturally. So that's why gaydom is out there through the Talmud vision, constantly telling us that gay is good, abortion's good, anything to take us off this earth, war, starvation, all these things are the disease of the Zionist mentality that has to go. And I believe that once Zionism is eradicated from this earth, then we the free can truly be free in a clean, healthy, productive environment. So don't buy the whole overpopulation bullshit, okay?
Yeah. Oh no, I don't. I know that we are not even reproducing enough to reproduce ourselves. I had no children. My sister had one child. Now my brother had 2 children. I did that by choice. And if you really look, we are not overpopulated. 95% of the earth is not populated. So
yeah, just fly over this country in an airplane. See how much of it is rural.
Exactly, but some of us still really swallow that lie. Now, I thought, have you heard of this too? And Detlev, do you have that one clip ready? Because this is former U.S. President George Bush and his counterpart Tony Blair were found guilty of war crimes by the Kuala Lumpur War Crimes Tribunal, which held a 4-day hearing in Malaysia.
Oh, yeah.
Have you heard that?
Yeah. So why don't we listen to it, and then we can discuss it. So stay tuned.
Okay.
It's going to take 2.5 minutes.
Former U.S. President George Bush and his former counterpart Tony Blair were found guilty of war crimes by the Kuala Lumpur War Crimes Tribunal, which held a 4-day hearing in Malaysia. The 5-panel tribunal unanimously decided that Bush and Blair committed genocide and crimes against peace and humanity when they invaded Iraq in 2003 in blatant violation of international law. The judges ruled that war against Iraq by both the former heads of states was a flagrant abuse of law and an act of aggression which amounted to a mass murder of the Iraqi people.
Bush and Blair are found guilty under the same law that applied to the Nazis after the end of World War II. So they are international criminals guilty of Nuremberg crimes against peace. and they should be prosecuted by any state in the world that gets a hold of them. And we will continue our efforts to bring Bush and Blair to justice and put them in jail.
In their verdict, the judges said that the United States, under the leadership of Bush, forged documents to claim that Iraq had weapons of mass destruction. They further said the findings of the tribunal be made available to members of the Rome Statute and the names of Bush and Blair be entered into a war crimes register.
There is also a recommendation that this be circulated to states, because all states have universal jurisdiction, and therefore whenever Bush or Blair appear within their shores, there is an obligation under international law to commit these criminals, international war criminals, through the justice system.
Both Bush and Blair have repeatedly said the so-called war against terror was targeted at terrorists. Lawyers and human rights workers who are present here today say that the verdict by the tribunal is a landmark decision, and the Kuala Lumpur War Crimes Tribunal say that they would persuade and lobby with the International Criminal Court to charge former US President George Bush and former British Prime Minister Tony Blair for war crimes charges. Maheshwari Ramakrishnan, Press TV, Kuala Lumpur.
There you go. What do you think of that?
George Bush should also be put on the child molestation registry for sex offenders list, too.
There you go. There you go. And also, do you know that the Senate's going to vote tomorrow or Tuesday on whether the president and every future president has the power to order the military to pick up and imprison without charge or trial civilians anywhere in the world. Now, with all of this, we're just accomplices if we go along with this. And I don't know, Paul, if you've heard, but Citizens for Legitimate Government is calling for a nationwide strike tomorrow.
Cool.
Yeah, well, we are of any peaceful action that promotes equality, that promotes the people gaining power, and like resisting these thugs who are going out in the Occupy movement, just pepper spraying and beating people. I think that those people should have their pictures everywhere, especially in their local communities, so that every time they take off their uniform and they go out, they're met with resistance by people who say, I'm sorry, your family can eat dinner here. You may not. You're not welcome here. Your business is not welcome here. As long as you are opposing and harming the people, you are not welcome. You must make amends or you are going to be ostracized. What do you think of that?
Love it. I would go farther than that, but that's a good start.
Well, yeah, we're the nonviolent kind, but we're also, I see, getting ready here at 10:56 for a break. So, Paul, we've got a lot of your music in there. Detlev, you played Illuminati earlier, didn't you?
Yes, I started with Illuminati, and I've lined up here Finch and She, and just an excuse, but I think Finch and She actually suits pretty well, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's actually FinCEN, brother, like Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, which is another branch of the Treasury Department.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So, yeah, you have to talk about this maybe after the break. And
Great.
We'll go into the break, and please stay tuned. This is Musicians for Freedom, and it's today. It's the 27th of November of 2011. And please stay tuned. We'll be right back with a great song of Poker Face.
This is Musicians for Freedom on UWS Community Radio and the International Community Radio Network.
It won't take too much to set things up.
Welcome back, everyone. This is Musicians for Freedom. It is Sunday, November 27th, and so far today on the show we have enjoyed the company of Watermelon Slim, and currently we have with us Paul Topete from Poker Face, and also I just want to let everybody know that coming up we're hoping to have some friends of mine, Joe Bear and his friend Mark with a band called Novak, and that will be coming up in just a bit when we're done talking with Poker Face. And so are you there, Paul?
Yes, I'm here, Sharlene. Great to talk to you as always.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful to have you on the show. And what was that song we just heard?
The song's called FinCEN, as in Financial Crimes Enforcement Network. It is the militarized branch of the U.S. Treasury Department that has its own Air Force. So they have helicopters to come to harass you and eat out your substance. I've had friends that have been harassed by these black booted thugs or jackbooted thugs, and you know what? Our whole government has become militarized. If you go into the woods, the forestry people, they're all armed. You know, in our state parks, our national parks. If you go in the water, the guys that are on the water with you, they're fully armed. It's like we have turned our government into an armed, you know, group of nothing but mercenary thugs, and they're not here to enforce freedom. They're here to enforce the militarized police state, and you know they're sending our police over to Israel to learn how to be better terrorist thugs against we the free. So we have to stop all that nonsense. And I would like to start by attacking the groups that they use, like the ADL and the SPLC, to silence free speech in this country, to defame. Basically, if you go to the list, there's a lot of great American patriots on those lists. You'll see Ron Paul on that list. You'll see Chuck Baldwin on that list. You'll see conservatives on that list, Christians on that list. Anything that's pro-God, country, family, you'll see on those lists. So if you haven't made their list yet, you haven't been doing enough for them yet, for America yet.
Wait, we haven't made their list yet. Don't make us feel bad.
I'm sorry.
I think they're ignoring us on purpose.
Hey, you'll get there. If you keep doing what you're doing, you'll be on there too, girl.
Eventually pounding away. Now, speaking of Ron Paul, what are your thoughts on Ron Paul and all the people who are willing to wait until late next year to vote or to take any action at all? Or just, you know, what are your thoughts on Ron Paul?
2008, we spent a lot of our time, a lot of our money, a lot of our fans' money to support him. He's the best that we got going, but I'd rather see like a James Traficant, Jesse Ventura ticket. The reason being because Ron Paul can't talk about Zionism, honestly. He can't talk about 9/11, honestly. There's a few things that he can't talk about that really need to be talked about. And people say, like, oh, if he talks about them, then he won't be taken legitimately. Well, he's not being taken legitimately now. So there's a whole group of people that would love to support him even more, but they see him as being more like a wussy patriot because he will only go so far. Good on the Fed, but, you know, not good on other things. So
like 9/11.
Yeah, and that's a big one, man, because, look, that's the Zionists doing to us so that we will fight more wars for Israel. And you know what? I'm done fighting more wars for Israel. I don't want to see us going into Syria. I don't want to see us going into Iran. If we go into Syria and Iran, it's time to arrest our leaders. It's time to put them in jail. It's time to RICO their asses. That's why those laws were created. Racketeering, influence, corrupt organizations. That's what they are. The Democrat and the Republican parties are both that.
We really need to rise to the occasion of stopping all this. There's right now, too, on the citizens on legitgov.org, Israel threatens to cut off power and water to Gaza. And on the 27th, Israel warned that it could cut the supply of water and electricity to the Gaza Strip if rival Palestinian movements, Fatah and Hamas, form a unity movement. The Foreign Ministry is examining the possibility of Israel pulling out of the Gaza Strip in terms of infrastructure. Deputy Foreign Minister Danny Ayalon told the Daily Yeruat Ahronot website. Now, why are they controlling the water anyway? You know, this is terrorism. The real terrorists are running the world.
It's time to start bombing Israel, okay? We've heard about the Warsaw Ghetto for the last 65 years. Okay, I'm tired of hearing the whine. We have the Gaza Ghetto that's been going on for 65 plus years. Warsaw at best was maybe 6 years. Okay, Gaza's
Paul,
still going on.
No, we can't be bombing Israel, but we can hurt them by refusing to pay for these atrocities. But no
wait a minute. Wait. We have bombed every nation that has ever attacked one of our boats. Okay, we bombed Spain because of the USS Maine. We bombed Vietnam because of the Gulf of Tonkin. We bombed Japan because of Pearl Harbor. Israel bombed our ship, the USS Liberty, tried to sink it. Jim Morrison's father, who was an admiral during the time, wanted to obliterate Israel both economically and militarily. We have still yet for that payback, and I'm still waiting. There's friends of mine like Phil Turney that was one of the people that survived that massacre, and others that, we really need to have justice. And it's still 40 years, but still, I'm still waiting for it.
Well, I agree that we need to have justice, and I also think that Israel we need to stop sending any foreign military aid to Israel. We need to definitely sanction Israel. You want to talk about a warmongering country, all of the BS that we're hearing about Iran, Israel is the real problem, and Israel does need to be stopped, but I can't condone bombing Israel. There are a lot of innocent people there, and look at all of the ones who died in Libya. We have to stop thinking we have to kill each other over for what? For lies and promises from the few.
Well, Karen, whenever we talk about we, I'm constantly reminded that we is me. I, and then you are you, and Paul is Paul. And so the best way, in my opinion, to do anything is to stop complying in our own enslavement. And rather than be aggressive in terms of, where does this we come from? To me, if we each of us just stop complying and start suing, we have to sue them. We have to sue the police. We have to be people and stop being U.S. citizens who are subject to the jurisdiction of the United States corporation. I mean, it's a corporation that's masquerading as some sort of a government, and they're just using all of us and our resources to build their empire. So the best solution, is like to answer your question about Ron Paul, is, do we wait until, it's time to vote? No, because really all you're going to do is vote for the next CEO of warfare and slavery. So the solution, in my opinion, is to just each of us as individuals to stop complying and start suing. Start suing these companies that are violating our rights personally. Fight back. That's how we fight back.
There's another way that we can hurt them too, is to keep telling our friends to pull their money out of the Zionist banks and put it into the local credit unions.
Correct.
Okay?
Yep.
November 5th, I think they lost $5 billion worth of local assets in their banks because the people actually took the money out, like a Bank of America, and put it into the local credit union. I've been a credit union member for over 25 years. They're very attentive to my needs. They give me low-interest loans. On my signature, when I was 18 years old, I could take out a loan for $2,500 just on my signature. No bank would do that. And I don't have the monthly fees that the banks, rape you with every month. So people, do yourselves a favor, do America a favor, put it in a local credit union. Pull your money out of the banks. That's the best thing you could do. First step you could do.
Right. And also understand that now that our former president has been classified as a war criminal, it is up to us now. If we ignore this, if we as people continue to ignore the corruption and we do not individually call him to the carpet by refusing to be an accomplice, at least for one day, as in tomorrow. You can take your money out of the bank tomorrow, do it. Use a sick day. Use a vacation day. Do anything. We know that a strike for one day isn't going to do a whole lot, but it will send a message that we're waking up. And we may do more. I envision maybe a 4-day strike in a month or so when the momentum hits, or then maybe another one. If we stop funding them, like it's another thing that I disagreed with Slim, we have the numbers. We just have not utilized them yet. And for all those people who are listening who do not want to be an accomplice, it's up to you to spread the word and let your fellow countrymen know that right now we are supporting war criminals.
Yeah, we just need to be better organized. We definitely have the numbers. There are more of us than there are them. And
yeah, and our money too. It says 2 British terror suspects killed in U.S. drone attacks in remote region of Pakistan. Drones. Health officials on alert for outbreak of new swine flu strain, where they're trying to scare us into getting their vaccinations, which also
fabricated at the CDC.
Yep, and sterilization. In Europe, they're preparing for riots because the euro is going to collapse. Or else you got multiple blasts, kills 16 Iraqis, injures 41. Roadside bombs, kills 6 Iraqi workers. We are funding that, and we keep ignoring it. And all these people who are so caught up in stumping for Ron Paul are totally missing each and every day that goes by where these atrocities pile up. Just because we don't hear the bombs doesn't mean they're not going off using depleted uranium that will be there for generations to come until and unless we take action.
Karen, doing the Ron Paul thing is a safe thing. You don't have to do too much else besides that, and you feel like you did something, but that's not enough. That's just the beginning of the awakening.
Well, and as long as we have corporate personhood, and as long as the United States is a corporation, and we are tied to this legal conquest, that was an aha moment for me, Paul. Really, with Charles and the whole thing with getting our legal system a year after the Constitution, when we owed King George money, and he sent over 100 legal advisors, turning all of our natural law into statute law and ridiculous paperwork, where somewhere we are tied and obligated to paperwork, and instead of living our lives with our natural rights of life, liberty, property, freedom, and everyone who is born, by being born, deserves a home and property. You know, we just are so caught up in the lies that it's really taking a lot to break free, but I'm hoping that we're doing that. And Paul, thanks for joining us, and thank you for your music, which is helping.
Well, like I said, the new disc is concentrated and focused on the banker. We have what should be the Occupy theme song called Rise Again. We hope to have out in the next month so that we can at least get it out now before the disc comes out. And,
well, you'll have to come back when you do have your disc.
Hey, Paul, don't you have something with the ADL coming up? Explain that just for a minute.
Well, they've been harassing and eating out our substance and doing tortious interference since 2006, and it's a continual thing because I guess we're effective to the point that they had to do something within the pop culture this past June when Steve Colbert did a hit piece on us, Knob Creek Machine Gun Shoot, which we play twice a year, and then tried to dirty up Rand Paul by using both Poker Face and Knob Creek Machine Gun Shoot. And I guess if we didn't matter, they wouldn't be paying attention to us. But yeah, we want to do either a lawsuit on our own or do a class action lawsuit against them because they have damaged enough people, some of the best people America has. And I think we would just love to just shut them down, impoverish them, do what they've done to others. It's time to basically. I'm tired of hearing the word anti-Semitic. I'm not anti-Semitic. I'm anti-satanic. Okay, they try to call you an anti-Semite. I'm an anti-Satanite, okay? And we need to return the language back to its proper use and basically take away those words of war against freedom. Hey, freedom is the freedom to say what you want to say as long as you're not endangering somebody else's life. And if I want to if I'm going to tell you the truth in a defense, sorry, it's the truth. But in the courts over in Europe, the truth has no foundation. Is no defense, and that's got to stop because that's just wrong. It allows the mentality that it's okay to kill people with drones, and I don't want that government. I don't want my government to be able to do it. I don't want a world government to be able to do it. Someday they're going to be pissed off at Paul Topete because of something that I said that exposed one of their sacred goats, and they're going to send a missile to my house through a drone. I don't think so.
I don't think enough people really understand that that's what's happening, and with the smart meters and all the rest of it. See, we're being EMF'd, IMF'd, and MF'd globally.
I love it.
So tell us about Just an Excuse.
Song Just an Excuse. It's basically talking about the light versus the dark side, and it's just an excuse people use to abuse us, and I'm done with abuse.
Good for you. I am too, and I think that when more of us become done with abuse. Sharlene, are you done with abuse?
Yeah, to me it's kind of like a dysfunctional marriage. I mean, it's just one of those things where, you're madly in love and it's this honeymoon, and everything's great. And then all of a sudden you wake up one morning and you have a black eye, and you have to ask yourself, well, maybe I'm being abused here in this relationship. So, I would have to say that the solution usually is to leave,
To divorce ourselves, right.
We need to divorce this abusive government. I mean, I want no part of it.
It's time for the new Declarations of Independence.
That's right.
Yeah.
What was what were your thoughts with Just an Excuse? Who wrote that? And what is that one about? Or just what we're talking about?
Very much so. Yeah, it's a song that actually the music is always written first with the band. So the bandmates and I, write the music, and then like a word or a line will inspire the rest of the tone. But I got to finish up the lyrics with a well-known co-lyricist. Her name is VB Wolf, and she's written tons of hits in country, but two of the biggest ones that she wrote in rock were I Want to Know What Love Is, that Foreigner did, and I Can't Fight These Feelings Any Longer, which REO Speedwagon did. And
Big tunes.
Yeah, and since I've started writing, she's always been like one of my muses that I'll write most of the disc lyric-wise, and then there'll be like one or two songs that I just can't get the whole thought or idea out, and she'll either put that one word that makes the line right, or she'll give me that one line that makes the whole verse right. And I'm very fortunate to have VB in my life and the band as well. But Just an Excuse was just one of those things that, you say one thing, but you do another thing to me, and I'm just tired of the excuses you say to me for the abuse that you give at me. So, it's time to let go. And in terms of our government, we could reissue the Declaration of Independence again to the government that we have at hand, because they're not representative of We the Free. It's of the corp, by the corp, for the corp.
All right. Well, Detlev, do we have that song up? It looks like it.
We've got that lined up, so stay tuned. We'll be right back.
All right, this is Paul from Poker Face. You're listening to United We Strike and Musicians for Freedom. Sharlene, why don't you take it from here?
Thank you very much, Paul. And my name is Sharlene Holt, and I am a hostess with the mostest here at the Musicians for Freedom show. And also we're joined by Detlev in Switzerland, who's our producer today. And Karen, she's with United We Strike, and she's in Oregon. And we've been talking with Paul from Poker Face. Earlier in the show, we had Watermelon Slim, which was a lot of fun. And now coming up, we're going to have our friends Joe Bear and his buddy Mark with a band called Novak. Joe, are you there?
I am here. It's great to be here.
Nice. Well, I'd like to introduce you to Paul. Have you heard Paul's music, Poker Face?
I have. I'm really honored to be on a show with him, to tell you the truth. You know, my awakening came, I guess, at the latter years of the last millennium, and Poker Face was a regular backdrop to that.
Thanks, man.
Oh, I'm very honored to meet you.
I got you, brother.
Well, Paul, so what we're going to be saying goodbye to you today here. What else would you like to tell us about what you've got going on? Where are you guys going to be playing?
Well, right now we're just, like I said, trying to finish up this Disc 6, Tyranny Befalls America. We'll probably be back at it around in April, starting with the Knob Creek Machine Gun Shoot, and then we have some friends in Kansas City that are trying to get us out there towards the end of April, and then the rest of the summer should get pretty busy. The other thing that I'm really working on right now is creating a real second party called PAZ, Party of the Anti-Zionist, and for us, there is no right-left, red-blue, conservative-liberal. The dividing line for us is whether it's tyrannical or for freedom, because that's basically what any bill should be. And if you go on to Facebook, look up PAZ, P-A-Z. In Spanish, it means peace, but in terms of the global terrorists, it should put fear into their hearts, because we got them in our sights, and we're going to take them down.
We surround them.
Yeah, we surround them, exactly.
Absolutely, absolutely. And tyranny is worldwide, by the way, Paul. So we are hoping that you come over to Europe once.
Well, if they're not going to, I can't go to Europe until I know that they're not going to arrest me for my free speech, because we speak out against the Holocaust all the time. Because, look, there's been bigger Holocausts than the 97,000 Jews that died in the work camps. But if you try to tell the truth, if you're in Germany, you go to jail. We've had several friends that are in jail in Austria, Germany, France, Italy, Canada, Australia. And once there is freedom around the world again, I would love to travel to Europe. I've been there 4 times before, and I would like to go back again. But right now, I don't think so.
Yeah, but we're all working on it,
Yep. TSA, too. I don't fly since that came up. I talked to a friend of mine yesterday, and this is how they're treating us, training us in America. She had a flight. She was going from Oregon to St. Louis, and she was talking to someone as she was in line, and she missed the deadline by 1 minute. When she got up there, she was told that if her name had not been entered into the computer within 30 minutes, she would not be able to make her flight. And this happened also to the woman she was talking to. So for 1 minute, being a paying customer meant that she was treated like a total child. All of her rights are she's not treated like she's doing them a favor, giving them her business. Instead, she's treated like a child who's done something wrong, having to sit there and watch that. And instead of making her flight, it ended up taking 18 hours because every one of her flights that she had made the reservation for, she missed. This is the kind of country we live in, not to mention TSA abuses and being forced to be irradiated, and she wasn't really felt up, but she did have to remove her jacket because they thought that it looked suspicious.
Why is the federal government even involved? Real quick, why is the federal government even involved in running security for a private corporation? Okay, they shouldn't be.
Exactly. Joe, did you have a comment there? Or was that Mark?
Yeah, I mean, it seems like conditioning, right? They're getting us used to the idea that we can be poked and prodded and whatnot, and you just know that it's coming to our streets next.
Exactly. Now, quickly before Paul goes, what are your thoughts on overpopulation?
Who, me?
Yeah.
I don't know. I've not really thought it through. I mean, 7 billion people is a lot of people, but I agree that there are vast unpopulated areas, certainly in this country. So I don't know.
The more you look into it, the more you'll find out that it is exactly. Let's see, Paul, how did you put it so delicately? The myth of overpopulation.
Yeah. Basically, all you have to do is know what the elites want. And if you look at the Stones down in Elberton, Georgia, they want to depopulate us to 500 million slaves, just enough for them to live cozy, while the rest of us are, indentured, prostitutes to them for the rest of their lives. I say freedom for all. And the ones that want to imprison us to the 500 million slaves, they really need to be imprisoned themselves, okay? Anybody that thinks that way has got to go. Right.
All right, Paul, thank you. Mark.
Thank you for having me up. We'll talk soon.
Yeah, are you there? Thank you very much, Paul. Yes, good luck to Poker Face. And now we'll get into some Nova K. Thanks again for joining us.
We'll talk soon.
All right. Now, you have sent some music. I think we got some music from yours into the Dropbox list. Can you think of one of the songs that you left there that you'd like us to listen to first?
Why don't we open with Shout? It seems like there's a lot of, the powers that be keep us arguing amongst ourselves, right? And it's all kind of theater. And in the end, whether you're red or blue or whether you're a conservative or a liberal, we're kind of trained to argue with each other while missing the real show, which is that the same people control both sides. So Exactly. This is a song somewhat about that. Why don't we start with Shout?
All right. Detlef, do you have that one?
Yeah, sure. And, the other thing is we need to reconnect because, unfortunately, the sound is not very good on the phone. So while we play this tune of yours, Shout, we'll try to reconnect you on the phone. Please stay tuned. This is Shout by Nova K.
Simple minds fed by lies and hate. They
is Musicians for Freedom on UWS Community Radio and the International Community Radio Network.
But don't you tell me I can't drive my big SUV, 'cause I'm a rich American, no energy crisis for me. Well, I don't care if I use more than I should. Oh, if the rest of the world thinks that's unfair, I'm an American. I'm thirsty for crude, and I'm an American. The world thinks I'm rude. Well, I'm an American, don't care what they say. And I'm an American, it will be my way. Well, take a look at my big house. It's way more than I need, but it's what I want now. It's not a monument to greed. While most of the world lives in rundown shacks, well, I'm a rich American. I just ignore those facts. I'm an American. I'm thirsty for crude, and I'm an American. The world thinks I'm rude, and I'm an American. Don't care what they say, and I'm an American. It will be my way. How much money is enough for me? I need an endless supply. There is nothing that I see that I don't want to buy. I hear there's people somewhere who can't even eat, but not in America unless you choose to live in the streets. I'm an American. I'm thirsty for crude, and I'm an American. The world thinks I'm rude, and I'm an American. Don't care what they say, and I'm an American. It will be my way.
Welcome back. It's UnitedWeStrike.com, and this is Sharlene with MusiciansForFreedom.com. And today we have heard from Watermelon Slim, and we heard from Paul Topete with
Topete.
Poker Face. Topete. And now we have joining us some friends of mine from Colorado. It's Joe Brer and Mark Novak. Are you there, Joe and Mark?
I am here. We are.
Nice. Well, that was a great tune. Boy, it sure sounds like you have more folks in your band than just two members. Where do you get all that sound?
The magic.
And the answer is?
And the answer is yes, the magic of recording. We've got a delay going on here, and it's very interesting. We've got a.
You're not listening in the background, are you?
Yeah, we are. Is that a problem?
Yeah, you got to turn that down while you're listening.
Okay,
or
well,
hit it,
if
pause.
we do that, then we don't hear you. So that's problematic.
Actually, you should. No, it's just to.
I have turned down the
volume on the
there,
program.
but now I can't hear you. So.
Okay, so then you got to turn the volume back up. It's just don't stream the program. Just focus
that's
on this
what's going
call.
on. I'm still streaming something. Yeah, I'm sorry. That actually makes perfect sense.
My head isn't empty for nothing, pal.
Let's try that.
Does it work better? Sound better?
Yes, thank you.
Great. Well, how long have you guys been playing together, Joe? You and Mark?
About 20 years.
Wow.
About 20 years, yeah.
Where are you? You're in Colorado.
That's correct.
All right, so you are.
Do you have a CD? Where do we get a hold of your music?
We do have a CD. We have 3 CDs on the market right now. And we're still fighting a delay here, and I'm confused. Yeah, so our first CD is called Take the Risk. It's available on iTunes and Amazon and all the usual places. Our more recent CD is called Shout, and that's available in all the usual places as well.
Do you have a website for the band?
We certainly do.
What's that? What's that site?
It's novak.net.
Now, how did you guys wake up in terms of politically and what's going on here?
Just looking around.
Well, give me individual stories. Like Joe, share how you kind of started to wake up, and Mark, then you take over.
Just being aware of what's going on in the world, and basically I do my comments through writing these songs.
I guess my awakening started with the Waco incident. You know, as it was occurring, I kind of believed the government story, but my brother-in-law saw a little bit deeper than I did. You know, and we had a conversation about it. Actually, several conversations about it, and I didn't really see his point of view at the time, but it planted a seed in my brain. And then later learning of people like Larkin Rose and I don't know, people such as that, starting to listen to some alternative points of view. By the end of the last millennium, I was pretty well, I'd figured out what a game it all was. So.
And you use music as well to get your opinions out there?
Certainly. For many years, music has been a strong, well, it's a cultural thing, right? I mean, people express their culture and learn about their culture through music and other art, and it's just a great way of reaching people, I feel.
I think it's a spiritual thing. I think that it hits us not so much on the cellular, but more on the soular level to help us wake up.
I agree with that. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm a singer too. 1,000 million years ago, worked in bands, and it was. I used to think I was going to be the next Linda Ronstadt, but that was a while ago. I still write, and I'm starting to do some singing, which I'm really glad now for meeting Sharlene and forming this alliance between United We Strike and Musicians for Freedom, because music is a great way to get messages out to people and to help them wake up through this trance. And we've also had programs where we explore different tunings. Have you looked into like the 528 hertz or the 432 hertz?
You know, I through Musicians for Freedom's website, I saw some articles on avoiding A440, and I've not pursued that as of yet. I don't really understand what the argument is.
Well, it's basically, as I understand it, and Sharlene, jump in here if you've got some things to add too, but it's that music originally was in these keys that were beneficial to not only our hearing and our spirits, but our bodies. It resonated deep within us, again, at that cellular level, and helped, and we are all sound and vibration. And so this theory is that there are notes that they purposely took out and omitted, bringing in the 440 to take us away from tuning that would help our spiritual growth. And instead of being beneficial, it's become more dissident, as in some of the punk rock. You know, some of the songs are really angry, irritating songs. And if we are all sound and vibration, which is proven, and we're all individual songs of God expressed incarnate, then what they're trying to do with the music is to throw us off and to not allow us to make the connection, so that we cannot, in this 21st century, rise to our true humanity, to learn everything that we can offer, because we're being EMF'd, IMF'd, and MF'd globally. Did it make sense?
Yeah, I guess so. I'd have to look at the physics of it to understand how. I mean, what is the idea that if we were tuned or if music was tuned slightly differently, our tissues would vibrate in resonance with them, or what?
Yeah, it would be better. It would be more healing. As a matter of fact, here I got my little 528 right here. This particular vibration is one that is being experimented on all over the world in terms of DNA repair and healing, and that's 528. Dr. Leonard Horowitz and Sherry Kane were on with us last 2 weeks ago, and they also are into this. So it's a real interesting thing, and you might want to check it out. You know, you might find that there's something to it. It's an interesting theory, and it makes a lot of sense to me that along with all this subterfuge and control, that they would certainly mess with the music so that the old Gregorian chants and the things that had real power would be further away and more of a haze or a maze to get through.
Interesting.
Yeah,
I'd also
consciousness.
I'd like to tell everybody that the song you heard, I'm an American, we also have a video out for that, which is pretty interesting, I think. We've gotten some good feedback on that. And you can access that either on YouTube or from our website.
Yeah, I've seen some of your videos. I think they're kind of fun.
So NovaK.net.
Nova-K.
Yeah, it's Nova-K.net. Who makes the videos, Mark?
I did.
Mark does.
Okay.
Mark is a visual creative genius.
Yeah, she thinks. I've done production for about 13 years, so this was a natural extension of that.
What instrument do you play in the band, Mark?
Drums, vocals,
guitar,
keyboards,
bass.
And then Joe, you play the guitar.
Guitar and bass, vocals, keyboards.
Wow, so you're both pretty versatile.
Well, yeah. I mean, you know, we've both been musicians for more years than we want to admit. So you pick up a little bit of this and a little bit of that along the way. So,
and we have such a good working relationship, and we work well with each other. I think that's the key.
That is so important.
We have to get along.
It's hard to work in bands sometimes when the egos come up. Boy,
Absolutely.
Is it difficult. Yeah, and then when some of the members have excessive problems with things like drinking and fall off drum sets and off stage and stuff. I don't know about you, but I work with some blowzos in my time. Those are bozos who were blowing it. I never played anything, though.
Well, I fell off my drum set once, but it didn't have anything to do with drugs or alcohol. It was a faulty stool.
Well, you know, and it's not just limited to music, the whole ego thing. You know, it does seem to come up in just about every endeavor, really.
Oh,
I think that's we're having such a big problem now. I love the acronym of edging God out, regardless of what definition you put on God, divine creator or spirit. Edging God out, because so many of us are so willing to defend our positions that we believe in, because we've been so brainwashed that we don't understand that if we just stepped outside of that and did some research, we might find some very different answers that resonated much more with who we would like to be.
Well, and I'm a team player. I mean, I like to think of myself that way. And so, but people sometimes confuse, it seems, expressing yourself, kind of like, well, here's what I think. They confuse that with, I'm attempting to control the situation. And so they become defensive. Folks become defensive a lot that way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's an easy trap to fall into. I mean, especially if you're coming from different points of view, and perhaps somewhere in the middle is where the truth lies. But
right.
when ego gets involved, you're right. You don't really see the other side of the story very well.
Well,
I think you.
Go ahead, Karen.
Well, I think you just said, when ego gets involved, again, we've been brainwashed since we were born, since actually before we were born, because our parents are listening to privately owned media, and we're picking up all the information, and then we're put in there, and the next thing you know, we got a social security number and about 65 vaccines by the time we're 18.
Right. Well, like we were talking with Watermelon Slim, earlier about the whole overpopulation thing. And Joe, I think you're right on with the here's my opinion and here's your opinion, and then the truth is somewhere in the middle. Because and really that's why it is a little dangerous sometimes, to say, well, here's the truth. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I find it's a lot safer to just say, well, here's what I think. And so Karen was saying. I think Karen, when she was talking to Slim about the overpopulation thing, he was, of the opinion, let's say, that the planet is overpopulated, okay? And then Karen is of the opinion that the planet is not overpopulated. And then further, Karen, you were also attempting, I think, to state it as a fact. In fact, the planet is not overpopulated. So there's really three positions that are being bantered about, at any particular point. And it's that whole idea of the truth, with the capital T, that's the sticking point.
It's a sticking point. But at the same time, there's, you and I think everybody here is aware of some of the evils that are going on in society, and it's hard to break through people's programming to wake them up. At some point, you gotta shake people by the collar and say, look, man, you're being controlled.
Yeah, well, and I didn't want to say that to him, but Sharlene, it's not just my opinion, and I know that the truth is pretty subjective, It really is, and if people do the research themselves, I believe it, and I think that a real good investigation without automatically believing one thing, but just do your own investigation, folks, and you will see that the amount of people on this planet, if we can fit into Texas or Queensland with all the rest of the world left over, that certainly doesn't sound like we're overpopulated to me, but I've been wrong before.
Well, I saw that video by Max Egan. Yeah, he's got one where he addresses that very question, and that's exactly the illustration he uses,
Yeah, from my point of view here from Switzerland, I would say Mexico City is overpopulated.
Yeah.
There you go.
In particular city, and I think that's part of Agenda 21 is to actually concentrate the people into the cities and put us into like these, cookers of pollution, so that we have a perception that the world is polluted and overpopulated simply because we have been narrowly confined in a city where, in fact, they have overpopulated the city and they have polluted the city. And if it's kind of, you know what I mean, like that movie, The Island, that was a perfect example of how all those folks were all kept in like a closed container, and the information. Did you see that movie, The Island?
I did, and I agree with you.
Yeah.
But we do have to look out and try and find, and overpopulation is definitely part of Agenda 21. If they can get us all into cities, they call them stack them and pack them. You know, that's what they want. Yeah. Now, you guys have Own Agenda. So while we still have time, why don't you tell us about Own Agenda?
Well, I wrote that about 14 years ago, actually. And we redid it again for the next release. And, I mean, it is just what it says. Everybody has their own agenda.
Kind of what we're talking about.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah. And before we play it, are you making any tours? I mean, are you playing live as well?
Not at the moment. At the moment, we're on another writing recording jag. So once we get out of that process, then we'll be looking for gigs.
Yeah, and then you would most probably publish this on your website. And your website again is Nova-K?
That is correct. .net.
.net. Okay, that's important. Yeah, okay. Fine. So why don't we just quickly play Own Agenda, and then we'll be right back.
Cool.
Great.
Well, parents, take good care of the children and teach them right from wrong. We all share the world we live in. We have to know how to get along. What kids are dying for the clothes they wear. A young life gone, it doesn't seem fair. Well, everybody's worried, but no one seems to care. It's someone else's problem. We all demand our share. Everybody's got their own agenda. A special interest, gossip America. Screaming messages and hearing no others. They close their minds, they have no brothers. When everybody wants it their own way, and no one listens to what other people say. Everybody's worried, but no one seems to care. It's someone else's problem. We all demand our share. Everybody's got their own agenda. Whatever happened to what's best for America? People don't care about each other. Punks drive by and people run for cover. Everybody's got their own agenda. Special interest, gossip America. Everybody's worried, but no one seems to care. It's someone else's problem. We all demand our share.
Once upon a time in America, we used to listen to each other's ideas, but not anymore. Nowadays in America, everyone wants it their own way. Nowadays in America, you have to listen to what they say. You have to do it their way, or you'll pay. My God, you'll pay. You better pray. My God, you better pray.
All right. Hey, this is Joe Bear with Novak. We're coming to you live on United We Strike Radio, brought to you by Musicians for Freedom. It's been great to be here with you guys, with my buddy Mark here, and with Karen and Sharlene and Detlev. We really appreciate you having us on.
We do.
Thank you.
We
for
appreciate
coming on.
you. Yeah. Great music. New music to turn us on to. Awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, you can catch us at nova-k.net and find out a little bit more about us. And also for people in the United States, I'd like to remind you all that primary season is coming up. And in order to vote in the primaries, you need to be registered under a certain party, whatever that party may be. My suggestion would be that you know that Obama is going to be the candidate for the Dems this time around, so you might as well make your vote count and join the Repubs just for the heck of it. And perhaps perhaps cast your lot with Ron Paul, who I think is our best alternative for president this time around.
Well, that sounds pretty good. Okay, so we are almost over. So everybody, it's a chance to say the website again. Sharlene?
Well, my website is musiciansforfreedom.com. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you again in January. We're going to take a break for December, but we'll be coming back in January, so don't hesitate to contact me if you'd like to be on the show. musiciansforfreedom.com.
Karen?
Merry Christmas, everybody, and happy holidays, and we'll see you next year.
Fine.
All right.
Okay, so Joe, once again.
Yes. It's been great. It's been great meeting you, Detlev and Karen. Sharlene, good working with you again, and everybody out there, have a great week.
Keep rocking.
Okay. Yeah, thanks a lot. And we will be playing Shadow Man. And I'm Detlev for Wake News Radio here from Switzerland, wakenews.net. So see you next year, but many more shows of Wake News Radio in between. So stay tuned. See you.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Bye.
See you soon. Bye-bye.
This is Musicians for Freedom on UWS Community Radio and the International Community Radio Network.